MK Pulse proudly sponsors Seclo Sounds. MK Pulse is Milton Keynes' local magazine, bringing helpful information on food, health, fashion, money, travel, culture, and much more to 66,000 readers every month. Plus news, views, and what's on from around the city. If it's happening in Milton Keynes, it's in MK Pulse, and it's available online at www.mkpulse.co.uk. MK Pulse and Seclo Sounds, the heart and soul of the city.
Hello, I'm Mike Barry.
And I'm Bob Bluffield.
And together on a Friday morning between 8 and 10 here on Seclo Sounds, we bring you
Pop and Rock Legends.
This is where we take an in-depth look at a pop star and let you know all about them. 8 o'clock through till 10 o'clock on a Friday morning here on Seclo Sounds.
Just wait and see. Our wedding day is not very far. Old folks will whisper and say how lovely we both are. We'll have a ball, dancing and all when we get married.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
I think that's lovely. Well, yeah, I'm a bit of an old sentimentalist at heart, you know.
Are you really?
Sort of bebop music, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's nothing quite like it, is there really?
Doo-wop, not bebop, doo-wop.
Doo-wop, doo-wop, day, whopper, 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 doo, whopper, whatever.
When We Get Married, that's called, Michael.
Yes, that was lovely.
Hey, good morning, Michael. How are you today?
I'm very well, Bob, and how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
I hear you've been up to our listeners, eh?
I have indeed, yes. David Lynn up in Sleaford up there in Lincolnshire. Very nice couple of days we had up there. Thank you very much, Lynn, and for your lovely cooking as well. Brilliant.
Is she a nice cook then?
She's very good, actually. Yeah, excellent.
I love good cooks.
And I hope your pussycat's all right after me treading on his paw.
I won't say anything.
No,
you trod on his paw?
I trod his paw, just saying goodbye.
That's criminal.
And the cat was underneath my foot, and I trod his foot.
Oh, well, he won't like you anymore.
No, he was a lovely cat, too.
Never mind. Good morning. Welcome to Rock and Pop Legends here on Seclo Sounds on a Friday morning with me, Mike Barry.
Me, Bob Bluffield, of course.
And, of course, it's a 2-hour where we take a look back. Well, it's a pop puree again, which I'm beginning to like, actually, because I think it's the in-depth, if it's an artist that you don't particularly like, then you've got 2 hours of... I get bored, sort of listening to it. But yeah, the pop puree is quite good fun, I think. So this one, not a lot of people have heard about it actually, because I know when I spoke to you this morning, and so the first one up on the show is Dream Lover. Well, of course, you went to Dream Lover, where are you?
That's right.
And that sort of got in my brain as well. But because it wasn't that one, because it's actually a group, isn't it?
It's called the Dream Lovers. Yes, I must confess I've not heard of. They're an American doo-wop group from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They were formed in 1956. The group took several names early in its career, recording demos as the Romancers and the Midnighters, under which name they backed Chubby Checker. You must, of course, remember him from the Twisting Days in 1958. They recorded briefly on the V-Tone Records label before signing to Heritage Records, and When We Get Married was released as a single in 1961 to reach number 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Don't know if it was ever released in this country, possibly, but don't think it ever made an impression. The following year, their tune If I Should Lose You on End Records reached number 62, so that didn't get very high at all. The group remained active well into the 1960s, and their hit When We Get Married, as I said, was covered by The Intruders in 1970 and by Larry Graham in 1980, neither of which mean anything to me. You Gave Me Somebody to Love was another UK hit for them, but that was a UK hit for Manfred Mann in 1966. Yeah. Their members were Maurice Gardner, lead singer, Don Hogan on lead, James Dunn and Clifton Dunn, who died in 2014, in fact in June, and Tommy Ricks tenor and Cleveland Hammock tenor, and that's about all we know about them.
It's interesting because they had about 16
singles.
16 singles and 3 LPs and 3 CDs out in. Well, they brought those out, obviously, reruns.
Reissued them,
reissued The Best of the Dream Lovers, Volume 1 and Volume 2. That was back in the 90s.
Must have been a short record, I should think, because there wasn't a lot of them, was there?
No, but they've got, it was 16 singles, It's enough to make a CD track on it.
Very pleasant sound. They remind me a little bit of a group called The Times, T-H-Y-M-E-S.
T-H-Y-M-E-S, yes. They did a similar sort of music.
So Much in Love, they did, didn't they?
Yes,
which
that's
was
right,
their big hit.
Yeah.
Which is quite a rarity if you try to buy it. I've got it, actually, but it was hard to get.
Have you? I've got it as well, actually.
Have you?
By the Times, yes.
Yeah.
I say if you want to borrow it, you know where to come.
Oh, well, yeah, I've got it on a compilation, I think, now.
Have you? Yeah, mine is on a compilation as well, So, right, so we will move on swiftly here on seclosounds.org. We're broadcasting, of course, from our studios at Peartree Bridge, courtesy of Interaction, who are our partners in crime. And, well, we're not in crime, really, but they're our partners at any rate, and it's nice to have them on board with us. But see if you remember this one. Sounds Orchestral.
Never heard of them.
And Moonglow. What do you mean you never heard of them?
Never heard of them.
Haven't you?
I would have called that a pop legend, really, would you?
Well, yeah, I would actually.
You would?
Yes, yeah. I think when we find out a little bit about them, we will. You will discover things that you never heard and never knew before.
Go on, then.
Well, it was a British studio-based easy listening group, and they were put together by a chap called John Schroeder and Johnny Pearson in 1964.
Heard of Johnny Pearson.
Well, there you go. So this is where it's going to start to come out, because John Schroeder had worked with Johnny Pearson previously over at Oriole Records and producing Johnny Pearson's first solo album. Moving to Pie, Schroeder was quick to assemble the lineup, which would then become Sounds Orchestral. Intended to be a competitor group to EMI's successful Sounds Incorporated.
No, seen Sounds Incorporated in concert.
There you go. You see Johnny Pearson on piano, Kenny Clare on drums and percussion, and Tony Reeves, bassist, who later played with Curved Air, filled out the group. Well, other members included Peter McGurk on bass, who died in June 1968. McGurk's position was assumed by Frank Clark. Generally in the studio, there would be a trio backed by other instruments led by Tony Gilbert, who'd play violin on many of the tracks. And on the second last album in 1975, members had changed to Johnny Pearson on piano, Ronnie Verrill on drums, and Russ Stapleford on bass guitar.
Right. Well, Sounds Orchestral's version of Vince Guaraldi, let's pronounce that again, Guaraldi's, Guaraldi, Guaraldi's 1962 instrumental Cast Your Fate to the Wind, yes, I remember that, hit number 1 on the 1st to the 15th of May 1965, and that was in the US Adult Contemporary charts, number 10 on the 8th of May in the Hot 100. In 65. With Sounds Orchestral's peak that week, the British Commonwealth came closer than it ever would or could to clean up of a weekly Hot 100, clean sweep of the Hot 100 top 10, believe it or not, lacking only a hit at number 2. So we had 9 British bands, had 9 records in the top 10 of the Hot 100. That's something, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah.
Yeah. The number 2 sound was actually by Gary Lewis and the Playboys, called Count Me. Cast Your Fate to the Wind sold over 1 million copies and achieved gold disc status. The track peaked at number 5 in the UK in the singles charts, and some 3 months earlier, the follow-up Moonglow reached number 43 in the United Kingdom.
That's the one we just heard, of course.
Yes. Well, Sounds Orchestral made one last original album in 1977 for KTEL. Do you remember KTEL?
I do indeed.
They did all sorts of things, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
Featuring 20 of the most current and popular TV and movie themes. By the close of 1977, Sounds Orchestral had released 16 different record track albums, 12 vinyl 7-inch singles, and 3 EPs. Besides those in the UK, which have many different packaged versions of the latter, particularly singles.
Yeah, the pianist Johnny Pearson features on all the Sound Orchestral albums. And when Sound Orchestrals had effectively come to an end in 1977, Pearson had already established a successful solo career on other record labels. He was also a music arranger on the UK BBC television programme Top of the Flops.
That's where I know the name from, yeah.
There you go. And at the end of the late 1980s, the CD era, of course, had arrived, and the number of Sounds Orchestral albums were re-released for the first time on compact disc. Most notable was the reissue in 1991 of the fourth 1966 Sounds Orchestral album, Sounds Orchestral Play Favourite Classical Melodies, retitled Classical Classics, but with 8 new tracks by Schroeder and Pearson. The album was dedicated to the memory of Sounds Orchestral members who died, including McGurk, Clare and Gilbert.
Blimey.
Pearson himself died on the 20th of March in 2011. So there you go. You see, you said you didn't know anything about them. You know a little bit more about them now.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, isn't it? They were active actually from 64 to 77 in their albums.
I think the ones that I tend to remember more than anything is the Classical Classics CD, which they reissued because that was I mean, I'm not into classical music in any shape or form, but when they actually played it, they put a different sort of rhythm to it, as it were.
So rock rhythm?
Sort of thing. But it made it actually quite pleasant for me to listen to, and if that's something, well, that is indeed something.
I noticed they recorded on some of these sort of lesser labels with the cheaper sort of sounds of those days, didn't they? Like Marble Arch, which was an issue of Pie, and they were also on Castle Records, which I think they produce a lot of compilation albums, I believe.
Well, even K-Tel as well, you know. I mean, you
K-Tel,
don't hear too much about K-Tel. I mean, K-Tel did everything, didn't they?
I think there was an ad on TV for K-Tel the other week. Last week, I believe, I saw for something they produced. I haven't seen K-Tel advertising for years.
We'll have to have a look up on that one and see if we can find anything else about it.
Here we are, Sounds Orchestra.
We will move on. It's 14 minutes past 8 o'clock here in Milton Keynes. You're listening to Seclo Sounds Community Radio for Milton Keynes.
This is Seclo Sounds, and you can listen to us by clicking Listen Live on our homepage at seclosounds.org for a choice of players. Via TuneIn Radio at www.tunein.com, search for Seclo Sounds and listen online or download the TuneIn app. You can download the Seclo Sounds iPhone app from the iTunes App Store, and you can listen to us on demand at our replay page.
Hi, this is Rhys Manigan, and please join me for Rhys's Friday Night In between 6 and 8 p.m. on Seclo Sounds. I'll be bringing you the best music, movie reviews and topics to start your epic weekend. You can like my Facebook page, Rhys Friday Night In, and you can also follow me on Twitter at @rmanigan. Then join me on Friday nights between 6 and 8 p.m. on Seclo Sounds.
Together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow. Just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. Oh, you're lovely, with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you just the way you look tonight. With each word your tenderness grows, tearing my fears apart. And the love that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. You're lovely and never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you just the way you look tonight. Just the way you look tonight.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
the
That's called
Jaguars.
The Way You Look Tonight, and it's by a group called the Jaguars. And it's quite interesting because it's covered by so many people. It's just unbelievable, you know. I mean, people like Rod Stewart, Frank Sinatra. I don't know, you know. So what we'll do though is we'll just go back a little bit like this, and because there is a group called the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them. I'm trying to find them. The Jaguars, the way you look tonight. Hello, it says. This is a blog. The Jaguars formed on the campus of the Los Angeles Fremont High School. It was home to some of the finest doo-wop groups, including the Doo-Tones, Kelvans, Meadowlarks, Medallions, and the Penguins. The Jaguars were only one of the first integrated vocal groups of the 1950s. Members included Herman Sonny Chaney on lead, Charles Middleton, Valerio Valpaluto, and Manuel Manny Chavez. They sound Hispanic, don't I? I thought they sounded Negro to me, but there we are. Charles Middleton, Valero, I've been through that, haven't I? They were originally called the Miracles. I've heard of the Miracles. One of the first groups to use that name. They weren't the later Miracles. In 1955, they changed their name to the Jaguars and recorded some sides for Ardell Records. Although none of the sides charted, Why Don't You Believe Me from November of 1955, reviewed by Billboard magazine, the group went back to search for a new song to record that would show off their vocals, their fine vocals. The Jaguars found that the song, a 1936 Fred Astaire hit, The Way You Look Tonight, we just played, released in 1956. The record received a lot of radio play and was the group's biggest seller. The group's record label Ardell changed its name to Ardell Records, but lack of good distribution resulted in the single not charting on any of the national charts. The record will be re-released on other labels each time with a slight change in sound. And the Letterman would have a huge hit with this recording in 1961 with their version of The Way We Look Tonight on Capitol Records, which reached 13 on the Billboard chart, Hot 100. In 57, the Jaguars moved to Ebb Records and cut the single Hold Me Tight, but it didn't chart. And in 1959, they moved to Art Laboe's original sound label and recorded Thinking of You, which also didn't chart. In 61, they changed their name to the T-Birds on Chess Records.
So really, excuse me, really, that's one of those ones that slipped under the wire, isn't it? Because I wouldn't really call them too much of a legend. Although I must admit, the CD that I did lift it off is entitled. Well, it's not really entitled anything at all, but there you go. So.
But their Oldies But Goodies album remained on the charts for over 3 years. The Jaguars are finally getting top 40 play by the disc jockeys of On The Way You Look Tonight.
Oh, well, that's good then.
They continued to record during the 1960s, and then in 1966, after failing to have another hit record, they disbanded. The Jaguars' doo-wop hit record, The Way You Look Tonight, can be heard on oldies radio stations across America. There you go.
There you go. We will move on.
Well, it took us short, didn't it?
So in love, of course. That's your problem, isn't it, really? You know, so.
Yes.
Madeline Bell. There we are.
What do we know?
Well, she was born in New Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey. And, that's interesting. The bit I've got down here is all in a different foreign language. So.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, yeah. She was born on the 23rd of July 1942 in Newark, as you say. She's an American soul singer who became famous as a performer in the UK during the 1960s. Wasn't she Madeline Bell and the Bells, as I seem to recall? Having arrived from the US in the gospel show Black Nativity in 1962 with a vocal group, the Bradford Singers. She is 72 years of age now. She works as a session singer, most notably backing for Dusty Springfield. It could be found on early Donna Summer's music. First major solo hit was a cover version of Dee Dee Warwick's single I'm Gonna Make You Love Me, which performed better on the US Billboard 100 chart than the original. Bell then joined contemporary pop combo Blue Mink, you remember that? With whom she had a number of top 20 hits with Philips Records in the UK, including Melting Pot, Our World, Randy, Bannerman, Good Morning Freedom, Sunday, By Devil I Was Tempted, Stay With Me, and others, of course. Before joining Blue Mink in late 1969, she sang solo, and a cover version of Picture Me Gone is still a Northern Soul favourite today, as is What I'm Supposed to Do from 1968. What else do we know?
Well, she's also provided backing vocals on a number of other artists' recordings, notably Tom Parker's neoclassical arrangements, and in 1975 performed with Sonny and Sue, originally members of the Brotherhood of Man, and that was at the Eurovision Song Contest in Stockholm in Sweden. Yes, indeed, providing backing vocals for the German entry Ein Lied kann ein Bruch sein. Something like that.
Yeah,
performed by
understand that you're better man than me.
Yeah, that's right. I never did German at school.
No, not me.
She worked with Kiki D and Leslie Duncan, and in 1966 sang backing vocals on the We Can't Do on Meeting Like This, which was the second album by the band Hummingbird, which I remember well. She also joined the French disco group Space, providing lead vocals on two of their albums. One of the songs she provided she provided lead vocals on was Save Your Love for Me from 1978, which charted high in many countries. She also provided backing vocals for another French artist, Serone. Madeleine also appeared on Giorgio Moroder's 1979 album E=MC2.
Well, since the 70s, Bell has continued singing solo and has also performed in a number of stage shows. She continued to live in Spain since her husband, drummer Barry Reeves, once of the Ferris wheel, passed away on the 6th of February 2010 following a brave fight against pneumonia. And she regularly toured Europe singing jazz and popular songs. In 1982, she added background vocals to the fantasy film Alicia, A-L-I-C-J-A. We've got some names this morning, haven't we?
We have indeed, yes.
Designed to test us, of course. She then again teamed up with John Paul Jones in 1985, contributing performances Take It or Leave It and Here I Am to the soundtrack of the album Scream for Help. Bell was the voice behind the 1980s advertising campaign for Brook Bond D, a brand of tea bag in the UK. The music was composed by Ronnie Bond. She also provided vocals on the jingles of another 1980s advertising campaign, British Gas's Wonder Fuel Gas. Don't remember that one, which began in 1982.
No, I know. It brings back a lot of memories, these sort of things, doesn't it?
Yeah, she had quite a number of singles, but don't think she's really that big, although she had a lot of success as a backing singer, which is where I remember her from.
Yeah. Okay, well, what I'm trying to do is bring down some pop and rock legends.
Yeah.
It's almost some one-hit wonder type people, things that, there is no way we would make into a 2-hour show because,
We'd have to repeat the same song, wouldn't we, over and over again?
Well, this is it, she did do quite a few songs, but again, a lot of backing vocals with this particular artist, so, you don't want to play backing vocals because you're playing somebody else's tunes, aren't you?
That's right.
There we go. Let's look at the time. It's 28 minutes past 8 o'clock here in Milton Keynes. The sun is trying to break its way through, which means it's and apparently, allegedly, it's going to be nice for the weekend. So I hope it will be for you.
It depends what radio station you listen to or what TV stations, because I watched Channel 5 and BBC last night and they conflicted.
No, it's ridiculous.
So they must be getting their weather information from the same sources. So I can never quite understand this.
Obviously not, because otherwise they would be the same, wouldn't they? Because they won't. They're not going to get the weather forecast and then change it, are they?
It may be a way that they interpret it, perhaps.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
No, you don't know.
It baffles me.
All right, sit back and listen. You will know this one.
With your masquerading and you always contemplating what to do in case happiness found you. Can't you see that it's all around you? So follow me. Hey, come on, baby. Follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. Follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. And I'll show you where it's at. Come on, baby. Can't you see? I'm the Pied Piper. Trust in me. I'm the Pied Piper. And I'll show you where it's at. Don't be scared to move. Hey, babe, what are you trying to prove? It ain't true that your life has kicked you. It's your mind, and that's all that's tricking you. So step in line. Hey, come on, babe. Follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. Follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. And I'll show you where it's at. Come on, babe. Can't you see? I'm the Pied Piper. Trust in me. I'm the Pied Piper. And I'll show you where it's at. Come on, babe. Follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. Follow me. I'm the Pied Piper. And I'll show you where it's at. Come on, babe. Can't you see? I'm the Pied Piper. Trust in me. I'm the Pied Piper. And I'll show you where it's at. Come on, babe. Follow me. Come on, babe.
That's not the newspaper. It's the Pied Piper.
He was the Pied Piper.
He was the
He
Pied
was.
Piper. Yeah.
He's a two-hit wonder. He was a two-hit wonder. Crispy and St Peters, real name Robin Peter Smith. He was born on the 5th of April 1939 in Swanley, Kent. Now, what disturbs me about this, I can remember that song as vividly as we just heard it from when it was originally released, and he's now 71.
I know.
I find this quite frightening, how the years go, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Well, more so than you, being that little bit older than you.
Yes, surely.
But, I'm much more handsome, though, so...
Well, there you go. He was active from 1964 to 2001. He was on the Decca label, Square, Jamie, and the London labelling Capital.
Just go back. I mean, you're racing on there, really, because, you mentioned he was born in Swanley in Kent, but he attended Swanley Secondary Modern School, and then he learnt the guitar, and he left school in 1954 to become an assistant cinema projectionist. I mean, this is what we want to hear, what he did when he left school. Of course he is. Because as a young man, he performed...
He probably picked his nose.
Well, a young man, he performed in several relatively unknown bands in England, and in 1956 he gave his first live performance as a member of the Hard Travellers. Never heard of them at all.
So like a pikey band.
Yeah, through the late 1950s and the early 60s, as well as undertaking national service, he was a member of the Country Gentlemen, beat Formula 3 and Peter and the Wolves. Right, there we go on then,
That's interesting. Yeah, while a member of Beat Formula 3 in 1963, he was heard by David Nicholson of EMI. He was the EMI publicist, in fact, who became his manager. Nicholson suggested he use a stage name, initially Crispin Black, with an E on the end, and subsequently Crispian St Peters, and deducted 5 years from his client's age for publicity purposes. So he's even older.
Yeah.
In 1964, as a member of Peter and the Wolves, St Peters made his first commercial recording. He was persuaded to turn solo by Nicholson and was signed to Decca in 65. His first two singles on the record label, No, 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 and At This Moment, proved unsuccessful on the charts. He made 2 TV appearances in the UK in February of that year, featuring in the shows Scene at 6:30, which I don't know, and Ready, Steady, Do. Did I do know? Was that the one with Cathy McGowan?
Ready, steady, go, not do.
Go. Did I say do?
Yes, you said do.
Beg your pardon.
I'm listening.
Was that Cathy
Yes,
McGowan?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Excuse me.
You go in the corner and died because that same a year later, actually in '66, St Peter's career finally yielded a top 10 hit in the UK singles charts with "You Were on My Mind." You were on my mind. Yeah, that was a song written and first recorded in 1964 by the Canadian folk duo Ian and Sylvia, and a hit in the United States for We Five in 1965. St Peter's single eventually reached number 2 in the UK and was then released in the US on the Philadelphia-based Jamie Records record label. It didn't chart in the US until his fourth release, The Pied Piper, became known as his signature song. And it was, yes, song, and it was the top 10 hit in the United States and indeed in the UK.
Yeah. Although his next single, the version of Phil Och's song Changes, also reached the charts in both the UK and America, it was much less successful. In 1967, St Peter's released his first LP called Follow Me, which included several of his own songs as well as the single Free Spirit. One of them, I'll Give You Love, was recorded by Marty Christian in a version produced for St Peter's and became a big hit in Australia. St Peter's album was followed by his first EP called Almost Persuaded, yet by 1970 it was dropped by Decca. You Were on My Mind was also featured in the 1996 German film, here we go, Jenseits der Stille, which means Beyond Silence. I should have said that in the first place.
You should have said that in the first place. That would have been a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, later in 1970, he was signed to Square Records, which I told you at the beginning. Under this new record deal, St Peter's released a second LP called Simply. That year was predominantly of country and western songs. Can't imagine him doing country and westerns, can you?
Not really, no.
No, later still, they released the first cassette, his first cassette, the Gospel Tape, in 1986, and as a second cassette, New Tracks on Old Lines in 1990. His third cassette, Night Session. It's so funny when you say cassette now.
It is, right?
His third cassette, Night Sessions Volume 1, was released in 1993. Following this, several CDs also came from his record deal, included Follow Me in 91, The Anthology in 1996, Night Sessions Volume 1 in 1998, and The Gospel Tape again in 1999, and so on and so forth. Finally, Songs from the Attic came out in 2000, and he also performed on various 60s nostalgia tours and continued to write and arrange for others until later ill health.
From 1969 to 74, St Peter was married to a young lady called Colette. And the marriage, I love this, the marriage produced a daughter, Samantha, and a son, Lee. I don't know why they didn't really say, that they had a daughter, because they were producing it, but never mind. On the 1st of January 1995, at the age of 55, he suffered a stroke.
Good Lord.
And his music career obviously was severely weakened by this, and in 2001 he announced his retirement from the music industry. He was hospitalised several times with pneumonia until 2003. He died, unfortunately, on the 8th of June in 2010 after a long illness, and that was at the age of 71.
Oh, I didn't realise he died, actually.
Excuse me, yeah. Yes, he's... well, there you go. See, I mean, he
They
died.
did tell me, I was saying he was 71, but it did say actually he died in 2010.
Yeah,
He's
never
71.
mind. That's all right. That's Crispian St Peter's and the Pied Piper. This is Seclo Sounds Community Radio for.
I was just going to say, Crispian St Peter sounds like it should be a town in Hertfordshire.
Well, yes.
Near Great Missenden, somewhere around that area.
Yes, or Bury St Edmunds.
Yeah, it's very good. In this case, Bury St Crispian.
Bury St Christian, yes. It's 23 minutes away from 9 o'clock here in Milton Keynes. We will go onwards and upwards with the music, which we hope you're enjoying. And if you'd like to comment on the programme, then please feel free to send us an email at seclosounds.org.
If you give your love to me, then you won't regret it.
I'm not the kind to treat you bad, you know. This heart of mine keeps on repeating, could be our only meeting. So why not love me just for tonight? Hold me tight and forget tomorrow. We'll be alright till daylight. If I know you'll follow me to a place I know where we can stay just for tonight. Let these arms be the ones to hold you. We'll be alright. You'll forget all the dark and cold you see. Here beneath the moon, it seems that we'll always have love. But what the sun will bring, I still don't know. All I know is at this minute, my heart's yours and all that's in it. So why not love me just for tonight? Hold me tight and forget tomorrow. We'll be alright till daylight. If I know you'll follow me to a place I know where we can stay just for tonight. Let these arms be the ones to hold you. We'll be alright. You forget all the dark and cold you see. Yeah, just for the night, alright. Yeah, you know I love you, baby. My baby.
Now, he's better known as somebody else, isn't he? Well, he's not better known as somebody else because he is David Essex, of course. But,
David Albert Cook.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Well, no. Wasn't he in a film with Labels of Stardust?
Stardust.
Yes.
Was he- was
Darcy
he-
and Hutch or something? Or, no, I
No,
don't.
no, that's Paul Michael Glazer. And you're thinking of his partner, Paul Michael Glazer's partner in Stardust.
I don't know who I'm thinking of. He was an actor.
David
wasn't
Soul, you're thinking of, are you?
he? David Soul, yes, that's
Yeah,
probably.
no. David Essex, OBE, was born David Albert Cook on the 23rd of July 1947. English musician, singer, songwriter, actor. What else? Yes.
Well, his father was an East End dock worker.
Yeah.
And his mother, Olive, was a self-taught pianist and an Irish traveller. Well, that's interesting.
So that figures, you could see that in David Essex, actually, as a travel, yeah.
His grandfather, Thomas Kemp, was named Fillmore, which was the anglicised version of Phillymore, being Irish for Big Philly. So there was a lot of Irish there, I think.
to be sure.
To be sure, indeed. Essex was 2 years old when his parents moved out of the overcrowded home with the family because they were sharing it with relatives, and they moved to Canning Town, where he grew up. Essex attended the Star Lane Primary School, and he loved playing football and didn't answer any of the questions in the 11 plus exam for entry into a grammar school. Well done, mate. That's the way to do it. I did my 11 plus. Did you do an 11 plus?
No, I was in Middlesex, and they'd finished it the year before, so we escaped that. They judged us by our work over the year.
Yeah, so you would have got into grammar school then?
I did get into grammar school.
Yeah, you see, I went in there by default because I did the 11 plus, but I did do words on it, but I failed it apparently. But I still got into grammar school, but that's by the by. Anyway,
I think they should still have grammar schools as a matter of course. I think
so do I,
grammar
but
schools are
that's
far
for the
better.
grumpy old men tomorrow morning, you know. So
Could be.
He didn't write any answers whatsoever to the on the exam paper, so that it would ensure that obviously because he failed that he attended Shipman County Secondary School, where he knew that they played the game of football. He was also a member of West Ham United Juniors for a while.
I didn't know that.
And dreamt of the day of becoming a professional footballer. He then also became interested in music and played drums with the local band before becoming a singer. In his teens, he moved to Mark's Gate near Chadwell Heath and Romford in Essex.
Hence where he got his name, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, he was actually born in Plaistow.
Yep.
He made his first record entitled And the Tears Came Tumbling Down for the Fontana label in 1965. He then toured with a band called David Essex and The Mood Indigo for 2 years and released a further 7 singles in the 1960s. He also recorded 2 songs, A Rose and Leon and Johnny and Billy and Me. That's one title, Leon and Johnny and Billy and Me. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Isn't it?
Which remained unreleased, I wonder why, to this day, but exists as acetates.
Good Lord.
His first notable acting role, aside from small appearances in the film Assault and All Coppers Are, Coppers Are, yes, was the lead in the stage musical Godspell in 1971 at the age of 23. 2 years later, he starred in the film That'll Be the Day. That was the one I was thinking of, not Starburst, was it? Stardust. That'll Be the Day in 1973 and recorded his international hit single, the self-penned Rock On, in the same year. It sold over 1 million copies and was awarded a gold disc by RIAA in March 1974. It was also nominated for a Grammy and reached number 5 on the US Billboard Hot 100. A second single, Lamplight, remember that too, also reached number 10, the top 10 in the UK singles chart. And in the 1970s, Essex emerged as a performer of some note. Contrary to his own biography, his first concert was at East Ham, Granada. I used to work for them. In East London on Saturday the 2nd of November 1974, that was, and it wasn't the Odeon, as he seemed to recall. His biggest hits during the decade included 2 UK number 1 singles, Gonna Make You a Star in 1974, and Hold Me Close in 1975. He also appeared in, he was in Stardust.
There you go, Stardust. We'll get there eventually.
A sequel in 1974 to That'll Be the Day.
Yep.
The title song was another top 10 hit. In 1976, Essex covered the Beatles song Yesterday for the musical documentary All This and World War II. Well, Essex pop idol looks gave him a strong female fan base, and his British tours created scenes of hysteria reminiscent of Beatlemania. According to the Guinness Book of Hit British Singles, it was voted the number 1 British male vocalist in 1974, was a teen idol for over a decade.
In 1973, in December, he appeared in the stage version of Tommy at London's Rainbow Theatre. And in 1978, he appeared on Jeff Wayne's concert album, a musical version of The War of the Worlds.
Oh.
In the same year, Essex played the character Che in the original production of the Andrew Lloyd Webber's film, musical rather, Evita. And his recording on the show Oh, What a Circus reached number 3. 2 years later, he starred in the motorcycle racing film Silver Dream Racer, and the soundtrack song Silver Dream Machine was yet another top 3 hit in the UK singles chart. Essex, a keen motorcyclist, waived his fee for the then new 1980 electric start Triumph Bonneville that he'd contracted to advertise on behalf of the struggling Triumph Motorcycle Workers Cooperative. As of 2005, actually, he still owned that motorcycle. I don't know whether that means he sold it or whether they don't know anything more about it, but there we go. In 1985, he co-wrote and starred in Fletcher Christian in the West End musical Mutiny, based on the novel Mutiny on the Bounty by Charles Nordhoff and James Norman Hall. The score produced 2 more hit singles, including Tahiti, and that was his 10th top 10 success.
Well, he continues to perform in all areas of show business. A 1988 sitcom, The River, achieved good ratings. In 1991, a compilation entitled His Greatest Hits reached number 13. A 1993 album, Cover Shot, featuring a cover version of the Buzz Casson McGaden song Everlasting Love, peaked at number 3. His autobiography, A Charmed Life, was published in 2002 and became a bestseller. And in 1999, Essex was named an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE. He still tours the UK every year and releases albums through his website. Despite his long and successful British career, he remains largely unknown in the US of A. Rock On reached number 1 in 1974, and his only US Cashbox top hit single over there.
Essex, who claims to have come from a family of Irish travellers, played a kind-hearted nomad in one episode of ITV's 1960s Yorkshire-based drama Heartbeat, and that was in 2000. Essex told Jake Bowers of the BBC's Rocker Radio, which was a programme for gypsies and travellers on the 30th of July in 2006, that he's always been openly proud of his traveller roots, but that having moved to the US, Essex had said that he feels it inappropriate for him to continue as patron of Britain's National Gypsy Council, which works for equal rights, education and services for Romani and Irish travellers.
I wonder why it's inappropriate. He used to look like a gypsy, didn't he?
Well, he did a little bit, I suppose. But, in 2005, he appeared as a guest vocalist and wrote songs for Saint Etienne's album Tales from Turnpike House. And also that year, he appeared in the Channel 4 documentary Bring Back, the Christmas *1. Essex was due to join the cast of the soap opera EastEnders in early 2006 as a new character, Jack Edwards. However, the role was expanded beyond the 3 weeks planned, and Essex was unable to commit the time. The role instead went to Nicky Hansen.
It's funny, a lot of these people always end up, don't they? The end of their careers end up on EastEnders, don't they?
Well, EastEnders or Coronation Street. There's Les Dennis or somebody. Is it Les Dennis?
Oh, yes, I think so. A modern recording of Essex is featured in the museum West Ham United Football Club. Ah, really? In the recording, explains his reason for supporting West Ham and his love of the team. Essex spent 6 weeks as an ambassador of the voluntary services overseas, which earned him his OBE in 1999. That was a big day. I took my 2 eldest sons and my mum went out and bought a hat, he said.
Why not, eh?
Yeah.
He used to record and release records on his own Lamplight record label, but he's since changed the name of the company to Joseph Webster Limited, named after his first grandchild. He tours regularly and continues.
He called his grandchild Joseph Webster Limited.
Yes, that's right. He tours regularly and continues to act, appearing in Boogie Nights 2, Footloose, and Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Aspects of Love. From September 2008 to the summer of 2009, he took his own musical called All the Fun of the Fair on a tour of the UK. He followed this in the autumn with a sellout tour of the UK named The Secret Tour, and he's released a DVD on his website of the last night of the tour, filmed in Bournemouth. He returned to London's West End with his own hit musical All the Fun of the Fair, but with a different ending to that one that was performed in the provinces.
In 2010, he married Welsh actress Susan Hallam Wright, which was his third wife, at St Cross Church, Tallybont, near Bangor, Wales. He had previously been married to Maureen Neal in 1971 and Carlotta Christie in 1977. And in 2011, in January, he was announced that Essex had finally joined the cast of EastEnders as Eddie Moon, 5 years after he initially was supposed to appear in the show. His first on-screen appearance was on the 3rd of June 2011. Eddie left the square on the 6th of October 2011. He then wrote the music score for the film Traveller 2013.
In March that same year, he attended a theatre in Nottingham for a question and answer session, interviewed by a local bookshop and answering questions from the audience, which also served to sell and autograph further copies of his book. And in 2014 of this very year, he played an acting leading role in The Dishwasher at Brighton Theatre, with a further musical tour lined up with Shoewaddy Waddy and the Osmonds. Shoewaddy Waddy, Waddy Waddy, eh?
Waddy Waddy, yeah.
And the Osmonds.
He was a plongeur, the dishwasher.
This is just a little bit about David Essex here on
David Essex.
seclosounds.org. And the time, let me see, is 8 minutes away from 9 o'clock, and I hope you're enjoying the show just as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you. Don't forget, of course, and we're preaching to the converted here, but you can listen to it again if you so desire on Spreaker, or indeed when we actually repeat it here on the show.
I'm going to say good morning to Richard as well, who was my best man at my wedding 25 years ago, who's over here at the moment from India, where
Hello,
he
Richard,
works in the cinema industry. Hello, Richard. Nice to see you up in Scarborough this week as well.
Did he go? Do you know, to any Indian restaurants while he's over here?
No, he's trying to eat things like fish and chips, meat pies,
Yeah, steaks, Indian pie,
steaks,
yeah,
all this sort of stuff. Yeah, which is what we had. We had a steak the other night.
Because it's interesting, because I know the people that do come from these places like China, Hong Kong and places like that, they won't go anywhere near Chinese restaurants or anything, because it's
Nothing like
Anglicized,
it.
Anglicized or
Quite
Anglicized,
right, yeah,
whatever you
quite
want to
right.
call
We
it.
were talking about this very subject, but this was related to Thai food, how very different Thai food is in this country to what it is in Thailand, of course.
Which is, because I love Thai food, but I
So
love
do
it
I.
in Thailand.
Yeah, I think it's the best cuisine in the world.
Yes, so probably. I don't know.
I love the kick of those chilies.
I like Greek. I mean, one of my favourite meals. Yeah, but I think it's
Meatballs.
probably because it's like a buffet. Because
mezzo, isn't it?
A meze, yeah.
Meze.
A meze is because you get so many little plates of different things, and you can enjoy different
tapas.
Well, I haven't really had a proper Spanish tapas, where you do get lots of little dishes now.
Yeah, but you were in Cyprus.
I lived in Cyprus for 5 years,
It's a lot of this sort of stuff.
Yes, it brings back a lot of memories. My wife tells me a couple of days ago that she's saving up to go to Cyprus next year on a holiday, and do I want to come with her? And I said, no.
That's kind of her.
Well, I'm still having to pay my own way, but I said, no, thank you. No, I don't want to go.
Why
Don't want to
not?
go back there because I lived there for 5 years, and I think it
I've
would
been
shatter all my memories.
A couple of times, I've got to say, I didn't enjoy it very much. I mean, first I was at a conference in Italy, the second time I had tonsillitis, so
it wouldn't help in not enjoying yourself there. But I don't know. I think the other thing that I have a great empathy for, and that's just the fact that the world is a really large place. I haven't seen a scratch of it, and therefore why waste time in going back to somewhere where you've been when you could go somewhere a little further left or right and see somewhere where you haven't been, so.
Sure, but I've been back to places several times that I've been to because they were so enjoyable. I went back to Bali and it changed very much from when I first went.
Yeah, well, I think this is the. I mean,
That's the problem, isn't it?
I've been to Barcelona a couple of times. I've been
Lovely
to Paris
city.
a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'll never go to Paris again. I hate it.
Do you?
I absolutely hate the place. Yeah.
Well, coming back from the south of France, last year, I ended up on the ring road in Paris. My sat-nav took me there by mistake, I think.
Parapete or something. they call it.
Parapelican,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And the only other place that I have been, and I will go back to again, I've been there
Is you
twice.
Pagnol?
Is Las Vegas. I love it.
I've been there twice.
Yeah, I absolutely
I
adore
do.
it.
My wife won't go there.
It's just because it's
Change the
magic.
thought.
It's magic,
I think it is. It's a laugh a minute as well.
Yeah, it's a fantasy world completely.
That's what I like about
Completely, and that's what I like about it as well. Never mind, you're listening to Community Radio here in Milton Keynes, the Secular Sounds, a Friday morning with me, Mike Barry.
And me, Bob Bluffield, last time I looked.
And talking about that...
Hello, I'm Mike Barry.
And I'm Bob Bluffield.
And together with Alan Mullion, we bring you The Grumpy Old Men on Saturday morning between 8 and 10. We take a look back at what's been happening during the week and let's just say discuss it.
Oh yes, we do play some good music as well. That's all here every Saturday morning between 8 and 10 on Seclo Sounds.
Hello, I'm Jim Cleland, and every Saturday at 7 p.m. on Seclo Sounds Radio, you can hear non-stop dance and disco music from the 70s right up to the present day. So, if it's classic disco tunes you're after with a touch of today's best dance music, listen in to the best disco in town on Seclo Sounds Radio every Saturday at 7 p.m. with me, Jim Cleland.
MK Pulse proudly sponsors Seclo Sounds. MK Pulse is Milton Keynes' local magazine, bringing helpful information on food, health, fashion, money, travel, culture, and much more to 66,000 readers every month. Plus news, views, and what's on from around the city. If it's happening in Milton Keynes, it's in MK Pulse, and it's available online at www.mkpulse.co.uk. MK Pulse and Seclo Sounds, the heart and soul of the city.
Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Lovers of the world unite. You alone know what is right.
If you feel the world is wrong, all division, nothing shared, dreams have died and no one cared. It seems that just the young know how, so I ask them, listen now. Lovers of the world unite, you alone know what is right. People all should feel this way, needing someone every day. Keep the fire of the rivers bright, lovers of the world unite. Such a pity, such a shame, man has only he to blame. Give him beauty, give him life, he created a toil and strife. It seems that just the young know how, so I ask them, listen now. Lovers of the world unite, you alone know what is right. People all should feel this way, needing someone every day. Keep the fire of the rivers bright, lovers of the world unite.
Jonathan.
What was you saying there? I'm whispering them under the microphone there.
This is David et Jonathan. He's also a French duo, it says on my computer.
Yeah, well, that's not the one we're looking at.
No, we're looking at David and Jonathan. It says here are named after the biblical characters. It's a name used by the British pop music duo Roger Greenaway and Roger Cook.
Yeah.
Not the same one that used to be on, what was that programme? Where you used to expose people who have done wrong. What was
I
it?
can't remember.
Watchdog.
Watchdog, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? Whatever it was.
I don't know.
There we go. I'm waffling. They began working together in 1965 in Bristol and wrote the songs The Golden Ring and You've Got Your Troubles for the group The Fortunes. That's right, of course they did. They teamed up with George Martin to do a cover of the Beatles' Michelle, which was a hit single in 1966 in both the UK, where it reached number 11, and the US, where it reached number 18 on the Billboard chart and 13 on the Contemporary chart. They had another hit in the UK in 1966 with Lovers of the World Unite, which we just played, which reached number 7. Well, David and Jonathan sang the theme song Modesty Blaze, composed by Johnny Dankworth, who, of course, was, until his death, local to us, for the spy spoof film Modesty Blaze, starring Monica Vitti, Terence Stamp and Dirk Bogarde. The two continued to write songs both alone and together, which were used by artists such as Blue Mink, The Hollies, Engelbert Humperdinck, Whistling Jack Smith and others.
They didn't really have very many hit singles, really. They had...
not as themselves, did they?
Not as themselves, no. I mean, Michelle was a cover version, wasn't it, really? But Lovers of the World Unite got to number 7 in the UK
highest
charts.
charting song, yeah.
And nowhere in the United States. In fact, they didn't really get anywhere. They got to 18 in 1966 with Michelle in the United States. Otherwise, they didn't get anywhere at all.
No.
Seemed to be, well...
I think they're more writers and accompanists than they were singers or performers in their own
Well,
right.
that's right, because, I mean, 10 Stories High, they just didn't get anywhere. Scarlet Ribbons for her hair, and they managed to scrape in at 92
in Australia.
Yeah. And She's Leaving Home in 1967,
Fair
93,
one worse.
you know. Yeah, that's it. That's right. And then Softly Whispering I Love You, 19 in 1967 in Australia. But
Yeah, they did 4 albums.
Yeah.
David and Jonathan in the UK 1966, Michelle in America 1966, the very best, shortest record in the world, the very best of David and Jonathan in Germany 1967, and Lovers of the World Unite came out in 1984. Interesting.
Yeah, so there we go. Just a little bit there on David and Jonathan. This one you will know definitely, because I'm not sure whether we have played him or not. But if we haven't, then that's good. And if we have, just apologies.
You're trying to catch me out there, Mr. Barry.
Yeah, I know, but there you go. See, that's Tony
Love
Hatch.
is Blue.
Yes.
Made famous, as I said, by Paul Moriarty, wasn't it?
Yep.
Originally. Anthony Peter Tony Hatch was born on the 30th of June 1939. He's also credited as being known as Fred Nightingale. There's a tingle again. And Mark Anthony is an English composer for musical, theatre and TV. Songwriter, pianist, arranger and producer.
Yeah, that's right. Born in Pinner in Middlesex.
Where Elton John was.
That's right. He was encouraged by his musical, or rather encouraged by his musical activities. His mother, also a pianist, enrolled him in the London Choir School in Wasn't Road in Bexley in Kent, when he was just 10. And instead of continuing at the Royal Academy of Music, he left school in 1955 and found a job with Robert Mellon Music in London's Tin Pan Alley.
Denmark Street, of course.
Yes, indeed, yeah. And not long after working as a tea-boy, he was writing songs and making a name for himself within the recording industry, joining the Rank organisation's new subsidiary, Top Rank Records, and there he worked for future Decca Records A&R man Dick Rowe. While he served his national service, he became involved with the band of the Coldstream Guards, and on his return in 1959, Hatch began producing top-rank artists such as Bert Weedon, who we know and love, the then unknown Adam Faith, Jackie Dennis. Quite a big long list of them there, actually.
Kenny Connor.
Yeah, it's even Russ Conway's piano instrumental Side Saddle. And in 1960, Gary Mills, a recording of Hatch's composition Look for a Star, featured in the film Circus of Horrors. It became a top 10 hit in the UK for Top Rank. 4 versions of the song charted simultaneously in the United States, including Mills' original and a version by Gary Miles. The Top Rank, despite some worldwide success with artists such as Jack Scott and the Fireballs, ultimately failed because of an unusual distribution arrangement with EMI. A swift succession of events ensued through 1961 that Top Rank was sold to EMI, briefly operated as a subsidiary with hits by John Layton, and stuttered with its artists transferred to other EMI records. Hatch moved on to a part-time job with Pi Records, where he assisted his new mentor, Alan A. Freeman, with the recording of Sailor, which indeed was, we know, a #1 hit for Petula Clark.
Yes, he worked with Petula Clark quite a number of times, and Hatch continued, however, to write songs for Pi artists, sometimes under the pseudonym of Mark Antony, the Roman emperor. In 1963, Philadelphia teen idol Bobby Rydell hit the charts with Forget Him, written and produced by Hatch. Now, I never knew that, did you? Forget him, he doesn't love you. Who went on to produce, arrange and write for other American stars such as Chubby Checker, Connie Francis, Pat Boone, Big D. Irwin and Keely Smith. In 1964, he wrote under the pseudonym Fred Nightingale this time for the Searchers hit Sugar and Spice. And while at Pi, he produced many of the artists, including the Searchers, David Bowie, Mark Winter, loads of people, Julie Grant, Benny Hill, the Overlanders, Roy Budd, as opposed to Hud, Jimmy Justice, Mickey and Griff, Bruce Forsyth, Craig Douglas, a whole host of people, really, wasn't it? Yeah. His production of the Searchers' entire Pi catalogue was significant in that nearly every song was issued in true stereo. The only other UK chart act with so much stereo was George Martin producing the Beatles and Ron Richards who produced the Hollies, although a handful of the Hollies' early albums were only issued in mono. Hatch also recorded various lounge-style albums with his orchestra. He also made solo piano recordings and some tracks as a vocalist. Never knew that.
We mentioned the fact that he worked with Petula Clark. Well, after Valentino, the first of Hatch's compositions to be recorded by Pet Clark had become when he became her regular producer. They collaborated in a series of French-language recordings for Vogue Records. Clark, whose husband was French, that's right, and who spoke the language fluently.
He would if he was French, wouldn't he?
Had a successful career throughout Europe, and Hatch became one of her regular songwriting partners, in addition to supplying English lyrics for songs that she'd composed with the French lyrics. In 1964, Hatch made his first trip to New York in search of new material for her. The visit inspired him to write Downtown,
Great song.
Originally with the Drifters in mind. But when Clark heard the still unfinished tune, she told him that if he could write lyrics to match the quality of the music, she would record the song as her next single. Its release transformed her into a huge international star, topping charts globally early in 1965 and introducing her, of course, to the US market. That year also yielded the remarkable series of hits I Know a Place, You'd Better Come Home and Round Every Corner for Petula Clark. She and Hatch wrote You're the One, which became a major hit for the Vogues. Tony Hatch and Petula became established as the British equivalent of Burt Bacharach and Dionne Warwick. In 1965, Hatch's first album under his own name was released, The Downtown Sound of Tony Hatch, and it featured instrumental versions of some of his best-known songs along with new compositions.
Well, the song Call Me, written for and recorded by Pet Clark in 1965, was recorded by Chris Montez later in the year. It was released in November 65, and Montez's version entered the US Easy Listening Top 40 in the Billboard chart that December and the Billboard Hot 100 the following January, peaking at March on the Easy Listening chart at number 2 and 22 on the Hot 100. Petula Clark's run of hits continued with My Love, A Sign of the Times, Who Am I, Colour My World, and I Couldn't Live Without Your Love. Hatch also wrote Clark's 1967 hits Don't Sleep in the Subway and The Other Man's Grass is Always Greener, which was all written with his wife and co-writer Jackie Trent, of course.
Yes, well, there we go.
He was married to Jackie Trent, as we said, yes.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Well, in 1964, actually, Hatch was hired to write his first television theme for the soap opera Crossroads. I remember that well. It's absolutely doomed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It became one of his best-known compositions and has the distinction of being reworked by Paul McCartney and Wings. When asked to write a song to be featured in the Inspector Rose series, It's Dark Outside, he supplied Where Are You Now with lyrics and vocals by a recently acquired Pie artist called Jackie Trent. The song immediately clicked with the public and shot to number 1 in the charts. Though still married to his first wife, Hatch began an affair with Jackie, who'd become a frequent songwriting collaborator. This ongoing affair was the inspiration for the song I Couldn't Live Without Your Love.
There you go.
And Hatch and Trent were married in 1966. Their duet, The Two of Us, topped the Australian charts and created a demand for concert and cabaret performances, earning the duo the nickname of Mr. and Mrs. Music. His compositions for Sports Night, The Doctors, Code Name, Backs to the Land, The Champions, Hadley, Mr. and Mrs. and Whodunit established Hatch as a composer of television theme tunes.
The couple also wrote the song Joanna, a hit for Scott Walker, of course. One of their more unusual collaborations was the song Well, We'll Be With You, written for Stoke City Football Club in the club's successful run for the League Cup in 1972, and didn't do much else. The song featured a team and supporters and was recorded at the Supporters Club using Pie Records' mobile studio. The song is still sung by fans as the team runs out on match days. Well, and during the 1970s, Hatch and Trent diversified into musical theatre. Their first project, The Card, based on Arnold Bennett's novel with book by Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall, ran in London's West End with Jim Dale and Millicent Martin in the lead roles. Coincidentally, Pet Clark had starred in the 1952 film version with Alec Guinness. An original cast album was released in 1975. A rewritten version of the show starring Peter Duncan and Hayley Mills played the Regent's Park Open Theatre in the 1990s and spawned a new cast album. The second Hatch-Trent musical was Rock and Nativity, with book and notes by David Wood. It first played in Newcastle, and an updated version of the show toured nationally in 1976 and was broadcast nationally by Scottish TV. A full-length concert version was recorded for the Cork Opera House for the Irish television state broadcaster RTE. And then in 1972 he composed the original theme to Emmerdale Farm. During the 1970s, Hatch was also a regular panellist on the talent show New Faces. I didn't remember that. Where his blunt style of assessing contestants had proved to be a forerunner of approaches to come in later similar series.
I suppose that was the old start really of things like X Factor and Britain's
Yes,
Got Talent.
I would say so, yeah.
Rubbish that I don't actually watch on
No,
television
I don't.
anymore,
I can't
but there we
stand
go. I'm quite. I don't mind. You can criticise me if you like, but
Indeed, yeah.
I just can't. I can't stand it. You know. After completing the music score in the movie Sweeney 2, rather, in 1978, Hatch and Trent moved to Dublin. where they remained for 4 years, hosting their own TV series, Words and Music, and It's a Musical World. Hash continued to produce hit TV themes for series such as Seagull Island and Airline, before moving to Australia in 1982. While there, the couple wrote one of their most famous compositions, the theme for the TV soap Neighbours. They separated, unfortunately, in 1995, and they divorced in 2002. Hatch has 2 daughters from his first marriage to Jean, as well as a son and daughter from his marriage to Jackie Trent. And he now lives in Menorca in Spain with his 3rd wife, Maggie. And Jackie also lives in Menorca, so that could be interesting. They bump into each other in the
Menage a trois.
The Superior Market, or whatever they have out there in
what they call the super something, don't they?
Super, I don't know. I don't know.
Super Loop,
there's something like that, you know. Yeah.
Subaru, I think it's called.
Super U is in France. Mange two. Right, at the time here in Milton Keynes, it's 16 minutes past 9 o'clock. You're listening, of course, to Seclo Sounds, community radio for Milton Keynes. If you'd like to know more about us, then, I'll tell you all about that in a little while. But we're listening to rock and pop legends on a Friday morning with me, Mike Barry.
And me, Bob Bluffield.
And there we go.
Hi, this is Reese Manigan, and please join me for Reese's Friday Night In between 6 and 8 p.m. on Seclo Sounds. I'll be bringing you the best music, movie reviews and topics to start your epic weekend. You can like my Facebook page, Reese Friday Night In, and you can also follow me on Twitter @rmanigan. Then join me on Friday nights between 6 and 8 p.m. on Seclo Sounds.
This is Seclo Sounds, and you can listen to us by clicking Listen Live on our homepage at seclosounds.org for a choice of players. Via TuneIn Radio at www.tunein.com, search for Seclo Sounds and listen online or download the TuneIn app. You can download the Seclo Sounds iPhone app from the iTunes App Store, and you can listen to us on demand at our replay page. Plain Talking with Mick Bannister, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Seclo Sounds. Check in for an hour of scintillating chat and music with Mick Bannister and his guests from the world of film and literature. He'll be talking about their achievements and inspiration and finding out about the books and music that accompany them on their travels around the world. Get to know the person behind the headlines. Catch Plain Talking with Mick Bannister, Thursdays at 8 p.m. here on Seclo Sounds.
Soundtracks at 10 p.m. on Tuesdays plays film music.
Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten me into.
You're good, kid. But as long as I'm around, you're second best. You might as well learn to live with it.
Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Only love can break a heart. Only love can mend it again. Last night I heard you, but darling, remember this. Only love can break a heart. Only love can mend it again. You know I'm sorry. I
It's an unusual version, and well, it's not an unusual version, but it's one you don't normally hear too much of, and it is, of course, by that well-known gentleman called Gene Pitney.
What was the song called?
He was only 24 hours from Tulsa. Well, this one...
24 Hours from Tulsa Hill?
No. This was called Only Love Can Break a Heart.
I heard that.
Only Love Can Break a Heart. Yes, Mr. Gene Pitney.
And Francis Allen Pitney.
He was indeed, yeah. Born in 1940 on February the 17th and died on the 5th of April in 2006. Of course, through the mid-60s, he enjoyed success as a recording artist on both sides of the Atlantic and was among the group of early 1960 American artists who continued to enjoy hits after the British invasion, which was, of course, the Beatles, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, Pitney was born in Hartford, Connecticut and grew up in Rockville and now part of Vernon, Connecticut. His early influences were Clyde McPhatter, country blues singer Moon Mullican, and duo doo-wop groups like the Crows. He attended Crow, got a sore throat they had, didn't they? He attended Rockville High School, at which he was named the Rockville Rocket. Didn't think it was as dynamic as that. And where he formed his first band, Gene and the Genials. I nearly said something else. Gene and the Genitals. Yes, we won't go there. No. He made records as part of the duo called Jamie and Jane with Ginny Arnell, who in later 1963 had a solo hit, Dumb Head. And in 1959 recorded a single as Billy Bryan. Blimey, he's had a lot of names, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The first of the two Decca 45s as Jamie and Jane was Snuggle Up Baby, a cover of a song Charlie Gracie recorded at Cameo in 1957 or early 58, which remained unreleased until London Records released Gracie's original version in Europe in 1978. Have you got all that?
Yeah, I have indeed. He signed to songwriter Alan Schroeder's newly formed Music Core label in 1961, and he scored his first chart single, which made the top 40, and that was the self-penned I Want It, in brackets, Love My Life Away, on which he played several instruments and multi-tracked the vocals. That followed the same year with his first top 20 single, the title song from the film Town Without Pity,
that was good,
starring Kirk Douglas. Yeah, that was written by Dimitri Tiomkin and Ned Washington. The song was a Golden Globe Award, won a Golden Globe Award, and was nominated for an Academy Award for the Best Song, but lost the award to Moon River. Pitney performed the song at the Oscars ceremony on April the 9th in 1962, honouring the film year of 1961.
He's also remembered for the Burt Bacharach Hal David song, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which peaked at number 4. Yeah, he was a cowboy, was he, Liberty Valance?
Yes, yeah.
That peaked at number 4 in 1962 in the USA, though it shares the title with a 1962 John Ford Western with the same title. Oh, it's a different film then. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which starred John Wayne.
That's right. Yeah.
The song was not used in the film because of a publishing dispute between Famous Music and Paramount Pictures. Meanwhile, Pitney wrote hits for others, including He's a Rebel for the Crystals, Vicky Carr and Elkie Brooks, Today's Teardrops for Roy Orbison. Good morning, Roy. Rubber Ball for Bobby V.
Rubber Ball, yeah.
Rubber Ball, like a... And Hello, Mary Lou for Rick Nelson. The Crystals version of He's a Rebel kept Pitney's own number 2 hit, one Only Love Can Break a Heart, his highest charting single in the US from the top spot.
Oh, that's interesting. That's the
one we just played.
Yeah,
I've not heard that before.
That's
interesting.
And that was his highest charting single in the United States?
Apparently so, yeah. His popularity in the UK market was ensured by the breakthrough success of 24 Hours from Tulsa, which was also a Bacharach David song, which peaked at number 5 in Britain at the start of 1964. God, was it really that long ago?
Yep.
It was only Pitney's third single release in the UK to reach the singles chart and the first to break into the top 20. It was also a hit in the US, peaking at number 17 on the Hot 100.
Also present with Phil Spector at some of the Rolling Stones' early recording sessions in London, including Little by Little and other tracks for their debut album. He played piano, though the extent of that is actually uncertain. The Jagger Richards song That Girl Belongs to Yesterday was a UK hit for Pitney in 1964, and it was the first tune composed by the Rolling Stones to become a top 10 hit in the UK. In the United States, the single stalled at number 49, ending a run of 7 top 40 singles for Pitney as a performer. After another low-charting single, 1964's Yesterday's Hero, Pitney rebounded with another string of hits in the mid-1960s, including the 1964 singles It Hurts to Be in Love and I'm Gonna Be Strong, which reached number 7 and number 9, respectively, in the United States. And 1966 is Nobody Needs Your Love, which peaked at number 2 in the UK, matching the number 2 UK peak of I'm Gonna Be Strong. It Hurts to Be in Love had been planned for and recorded by Neil Sedaka, but RCA refused to release it because Sedaka had recorded the song outside RCA Victor's in violation of his contract. The writers, Howard Greenfield and Helen Miller, presented the song to Pitney. Well, Miller replaced Sedaka's voice with Pitney's, though Sedaka's trademark backing harmonies were obviously left intact. And in 1965, Pitney recorded 2 successful albums with the country singer George Jones. They were voted the most promising country and western duo of the year. Pitney also recorded songs in Italian, Spanish and German, and twice finished second in Italy's annual Sanremo Music Festival, where his song Strong Vibrato reminded older listeners of the Italian tenor Enrico Caruso. And he had a regional hit with Nessuno Mia Pub Gludicare.
Whatever that means.
Or something like that, Gludicare.
Well, Pitney's career in the US took a downturn after the mid-1966 when Backstage ended another run of top 40 hits. He returned one last time to the top 40 with She's a Heartbreaker in mid-1968 and placed several singles in the lower reaches of the Hot 100 after that. But by 1970 he was no longer a hit maker in America. Pitney maintained a successful career in Britain and the rest of Europe into the 1970s, appearing regularly on UK charts as late as 1974. In Australia, after a fallow period in the early 1970s, Pitney returned to top 40 in 1974 as both Blue Angel, number 2, and Trans-Canada Highway, number 14, with substantial hits. Pitney continued to place records in the Australian charts through 1976, including the hit Down This Road, written and produced by distant relation Edward Pitney. They also collaborated in the production of the hit song Days of Summer. And in the early 1970s, Pitney decided to spend only 6 months a year on the road.
That's a rather wise move as well, wasn't it? His last hit in the UK charts came in 1989, and that was after an absence of 15 years, when he and soft cell singer Mark Almond recorded, and this is quite a good one, because if you listen to it, they recorded the duet version of Something's Gotten Hold of My Heart, which was, of course, by British songwriters Roger Cook and Roger Greenaway.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, but the song, in fact, had been a UK number 5 hit for Pitney in 1967. The duo brought him his first UK number 1 in late January 1989, and the single remained at the top for 4 weeks and also went to number 1 elsewhere in Europe. Pitney and Alban appeared on the Terry Wogan show in Britain, Alban dressed in leather and Pitney in a white tuxedo. The interesting thing about that was that they actually made it and they sung it together. It was put together as a duo and they'd never met each other. They did this because one did it in America, and I think Pitney did it in America, and Mark Almond did it in this country. And it was then mastered together, and they didn't actually meet up until Gene Pitney came across.
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely
really
amazing. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds had recorded Something's Gotten Hold of My Heart on their cover album, Kicking Against the Pricks, in 1986. However, it never had the success of the Pitney Almond version. On the 28th of February 1983, Pitney performed at the Carnegie Hall in New York on the day of the first World Trade Center bombing. And in 2000, he re-recorded Half Heaven, Half Heartache as a duet with Jane Oliver on her comeback album, Love Decides. And on the 18th of March in 2002, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, his tour manager found Pitney dead on the 5th of April 2006 in the Hilton Hotel room in Cardiff during a UK tour. Pitney was 66. His final show at Cardiff's St David's Hall had earned him a standing ovation. He ended with Town Without Pity. An autopsy revealed that he died of a heart attack and had severely constricted coronary arteries. He was survived by his wife Lynn. I didn't know he was married. He was survived by his wife Lynn and their 3 sons, Todd, Chris and David. And he was buried at Somerstown Cemetery in Somers, Connecticut.
Excuse me.
I say Somerstown St Pancras, but Somers, Connecticut. There you go.
Yeah, on September the 20th, 2007, a plaque to Pitney was unveiled at the town hall in his hometown of Rockville in Connecticut. Members of the family attended, of course, and the event was MC'd?
MC'd, yeah. But
Oh, of course, the
Master of Ceremony,
Master of Ceremony, yeah. By the nationally known oldies radio DJ and Pitney friend Wild Wayne. The Gene Pitney Commemorative Committee established a music scholarship in Pitney's name, and it's awarded annually to Rockville High School. In October 2008, an international fan convention was held in Rockville. So that's Gene Pitney, which of course we all know and love, and
great performer,
absolutely, you know. But I think something's gotten hold of my heart. But 24 Hours from Tulsa, I mean, that's that is the classic one, and it's the one that always is the quiz queries and things like that. Do you know, I actually, funny enough, I just brought back to my memory, I was watching I wasn't really watching, but it was on television the other day. It was a half-heartedly watching it rather, but it was a quiz programme. Don't ask me what it was called, it's immaterial, but the question actually was, how many hours was he away from Tulsa, was Gene Pitney? Well, the couple that were answering the question, sort of looked at each other and said, well, who's Gene Pitney?
This is what you find, isn't it?
And they hadn't got a clue.
They were 96.
Yeah, and they said, they said, well, it's got to be something hours from Tulsa, so it's got to be some, obviously a figure, So they said, well, let's say it's 2 hours from Tulsa. And I'm sitting there shouting at the television, going, oh, it's 24 hours. But I thought, that's 24 hours from Tulsa is such a classic piece of music with Gene Pitney, that even if you don't know the words to it or how the tune goes, you
wonder where some of these people have been, don't you?
Well, you do sometimes, I don't know. It astounds me sometimes when you get these sort of things on the quiz programs. Although I must admit, I'm a bit of a duffer on these things. I can answer the question when somebody else has answered them because I know the answer to them. But otherwise, I am totally lost.
Well, I'm the opposite, actually. I'm pretty good, I've got to say.
Well, I will.
But then I read a lot, don't I?
You do, yes. That's right. Because I used to read a lot, but I haven't got time to read now. The only thing I read is the stuff that I'm actually writing.
You're too busy sleeping.
No. I unfortunately have to write a tremendous amount of reports.
So your report writing, that's a bit heavy.
Well, it is, and you've got to read it back and forth. And I was cutting and pasting some stuff at the weekend actually over something which you don't want to know all about, but not a particularly pleasant report. And I had to go to a lot of people on the Friday and Wednesday this week. So that was quite stressful. It was only 3 pages long, but having to sort of read it and check it and then reread it and check it again and all that, so it was absolutely
we've got some problems apparently this morning. We had an email from Lynn. Good morning again, Lynn. Another splendid show this morning, thank you. Lots of oldies. I enjoyed the one-hit wonders idea. Play more of these, please. I had problems connecting to you this morning and discovered where I used to click listen live, it wasn't having any of it, and then clicked the iTunes icon and got immediately connected. So if you're having, well, you can't hear this if you're having problems.
That's right.
So connect with the iTunes icon if you have problems in the future. It may be worth mentioning change to listeners, although if people can't connect, they won't hear it, as I just said. No. But hopefully, if it's picked up on Spreaker, they can listen to you, or you can mention the change. Have a great day, guys, and a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Lynn. Lovely to hear from you. And yes, listeners, if you are having problems, try going on in future. This is to either Spreaker, of course, or iTunes, yes. I
know we have had trouble on occasions with our own little buttons that, listen live again. And I've tried it myself, and listen live again, and it just goes, I'm not playing with you, So
I think we're doing a few changes.
We are doing some 1 or 2 technical changes, but there we go. Thank you very much, Lynn, and it's nice to hear from you, and I hope you're doing all right and keep smiling. One of the things that we do ask, because as Bob just rightly said, obviously it's a little bit silly, when you go out and you talk to people that you think are not listening, because they can't be listening. So obviously they can't rectify the problems. But what we would like you to do is actually use the social media that we've got, like Facebook and things like that, to actually notify your friends about it. So just if you buzz a little post, bung a little post out saying, if you do listen to Rock and Pop Legends and are having problems, then try clicking into different sources to tune it in.
We have to say also, although we are technically a local station here in Milton Keynes, we do go across the world, don't we? And we want listeners to hear us across the world because it keeps people in touch with the homeland.
This is the main thing, actually, and I think that as we approach Christmas, and it's not that far away, really, I think we'll start putting the message out that, you know, if you want to say, you know, Christmas greetings or whatever, and it goes for happy birthdays and everything else, you know, but if you wanted to go do Christmas greetings especially, then get in touch with Secular Sounds, you know, or get in touch with us or whatever, and, you know, we'll always get it together, because we have got this magic little thing that we can use called Skype, you know, so we can actually
talk to you.
We can talk to you, and you can talk to us. So there we go. 24 minutes away from 9 o'clock here in Milton Keynes. You're listening, of course, to seclosounds.org, a community radio station in Milton Keynes, as Bob says, going around the world. And I'm Mike Barry.
I'm Bob Bluffield.
And there you go. Right, we will. This one is a real classic. Everybody knows it.
I've been accused, among other things, of doing most of my writing for you ladies. But I did write a song special for you guys. Don't go away feeling slighted. This is special for you. Sometimes it's hard to be a woman. Giving all your love to just one man. You'll have bad times, you have good times, doing things that you don't understand. But if you love him, you forgive him. Even though he's hard to understand. And if you love him, oh, be proud of him. 'Cause after all, he's just a man. Stand by your man. Give him 2 arms to cling to and something warm to come to when nights are cold and lonely. Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your man. Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can.
Stand by your man. What a rousing performance. A live version by Miss Tammy Wynette.
I should think so, yeah. Or, unless that's all the recording studio.
I think it was at a concert.
Go away.
It's still on there.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Oh, it's the answer machine.
Yes, it's the answer machine.
Somebody trying to get through.
No, it's just decided that it would tell me that it's, I don't know what it does. It does it every so often. Tells me there's messages and all that sort of thing. Wynette, Virginia. Wynette Pugh.
Pugh.
But she was known professionally, of course, by a stage name of Tammy Wynette. Born on May the 5th in 1942, and she passed away on April the 6th in 1998.
Just 55.
Yeah, an American country music singer-songwriter and one of the country music's best-known artists and biggest-selling female singers. She was a country music icon.
She was also called the First Lady of Country Music. I think others have been called that too, haven't they? And her best-known song, Stand By Your Man, was one of the best-selling hit singles by a woman in the history of country music. Many of her hits dealt with classic themes of loneliness, divorce, and the difficulties of man-woman relationships. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, Wynette charted 23 number one songs. I'll say that again. 23 number one songs she had.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Incredible, along with Loretta Lynn and Dolly Parton, of course. She's credited with having defined the role of women in country music during the 1970s. Her marriage to country music singer George Jones in 1969 ended in divorce in 1975, and it created a country music couple following the early success of Johnny Cash with June Carter Cash. Jones and Wynette recorded a sequence of albums and singles that hit the charts throughout the 1970s and early 1980s.
Yeah, she was born in a small town, Itawamba County in Mississippi. She was the only child of William Hollis Pugh, who died in 1943, and Mildred, who died in 1991. Wynette's father was a farmer and local musician who died of a brain tumour, and when little Tammy was only 9 months old.
Oh, sir.
Yeah, her mother worked in an office as a substitute school teacher, as well as running the family farm. After her husband's death, Mildred Pugh left her daughter in the care of her parents, Thomas Chester and Flora Russell, and moved to Memphis to work in a defence plant during World War II. In 1946, Mildred Pugh married Foy Lee, who was a farmer. Wynette grew up with her aunt, who was Caroline Russell, who was only 5 years older than she was, and was more of a sister than an aunt. And as a girl, Wynette taught herself to play a variety of musical instruments that had been left to her by her deceased father. Of her childhood home, she said it was located so close to the borders of Alabama, and joked that the state line ran through their farm, laughing that my top half came from Alabama and my bottom half came from Mississippi. As a girl, she worked in the fields picking cotton, along with the crews of hired hands to harvest the crops.
Cotton picker.
A cotton picker,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, she attended Tremont High School, where she was an all-star basketball player. A month before graduation, she married her first husband, Upal Bird. He was a construction worker, but he had trouble keeping a job, and they moved from place
Not
to place.
surprising, name like that.
No, Upal Bird. Yeah. They moved from place to place several times. Wynette worked as a waitress, a receptionist, a barmaid, and also in a shoe factory. And in 1963, she attended American Beauty College in Birmingham, Alabama, where she learned to be a hairdresser. She continued to renew her cosmetology license every year for the rest of her life, just in case she had to go back to her day job.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Well done. That's
Well,
a good thinking, that,
It is, isn't it? She left Upal, E-U-P-L-E, Upal, her first husband, before the birth of their third daughter. He didn't support her ambition to become a country singer, and according to Wynette, as she drove away, he told her, "Dream on, baby." Years later, he appeared as he was signing autographs, as she was signing autographs, and asked for one. She signed Dream On Baby. That baby developed spinal meningitis, and Wynette tried to earn extra money by performing at night. And in 1965, Wynette sang at the Country Boy Eddie show on WBRC TV in Birmingham, and led to performances with Porter Wagoner. And in 1966, Wynette moved with her three daughters from Birmingham to Nashville, where she attempted to get a recording contract. She was turned down repeatedly by all the other record companies and auditioned by producer Billy Sherrill, who was reluctant at first to sign her, but decided to do so after finding himself in need of a singer for apartment number 9, whatever that was. Must have been a recording, I suppose. When Sherrill heard Wynette sing, he was so impressed and decided to sign her up to Epic Records in 1966.
Well, once she'd signed up for Epic, Cheryl suggested she change her name to make more of an impression. And according to her 1979 memoir, Stand By Your Man, during their meeting, Wynette was wearing her long blonde hair in a ponytail. And Cheryl noticed that she reminded him of Debbie Reynolds in the film Tammy and the Bachelor. He suggested Tammy as a possible name, so she became Tammy Wynette. Her first single, Apartment 9, which was written by Bobby Austin and Johnny Paycheck, so now you know what Apartment number 9 was.
Johnny Paycheck, do you know that was his real name?
Well, I don't know.
Or was he waiting for it? Checks in the post.
Yeah, checks in the post, yeah. That was released in December 1966. And it just missed the top 40 on the country charts, peaked at number 44. That was followed by Your Good Girl's Gonna Be Bad, which became a big hit, peaking at number 3. The song launched a string of top 10 hits that ran through the end of the 1970s, interrupted by 3 singles that didn't crack the top 10. After Your Good Girl's Gonna Be Bad was a success, My Elusive Dreams, which was a duet with David Houston, became her first number 1 in the summer of 1967, followed by I Don't Want to Play House, and that was later that year. I Don't Want to Play House won Wynette a Grammy Award in 1967 for the Best Female Country Vocal Performance, one of 2 wins for Tammy in that category.
During 68 and 69, Wynette had 5 number 1 hits. Take Me to Your World, Divorce, as we remember, Divorce. Stand By Your Man, all in 1968. Singing My Song and The Ways to Love a Man, both in 69. Stand By Your Man was reportedly written in the Epic studio in just 15 minutes by Billy Sherrill and Wynette, and was released at a time when the women's rights movement was beginning to stir in America. The message in the song stated that a woman should stay with her man, despite his faults and shortcomings. It stirred up controversy and was criticised initially, and it became a lightning rod for feminists. Nevertheless, the song became very successful, reaching the top spot on the country charts, and also was a top 20 pop hit, peaking at number 19 on the Billboard charts in 1968, when its only top 40 hit as a solo artist on the pop charts. In 69, Wynette won the Grammy Award for Best Female Country Vocal Performance for Stand By Your Man, which is now, according to critics, considered a classic of country music standard. She had a gold record awarded for albums selling in excess of 500,000 copies for Tammy's Greatest Hits, which was certified in 1970. The album would later be awarded platinum status, which is for million-selling records, in June 1989. And in 1970, director Bob Rafelson used a number of her songs in the soundtrack of his 1970 film 5 Easy Pieces, which starred, of course, Clint Eastwood.
During the early 1970s, Wynette, along with the singer Loretta Lynn, ruled the country charts and was one of the most successful female vocalists of the genre. During the early 1970s, number 1 hits included He Loves Me All the Way, Run Woman, Run, and The Wonders You Perform. And there's a whole long list as well of the hits that she actually did then, running right the way through. We're gonna hold on in 1970, Golden Ring in 1976, etc., etc. And Tammy Wynette was divorced from her second husband, Don Chappell, in 1968. She married George Jones on February the 16th in 1969 in Ringgold in Georgia. She married for 6 years until their divorce, which was finalised on March the 21st in 1977.
Now, this is interesting because she sings about standing by her man.
Yes, I know, and but even after their 1970 divorce, due largely to Jones's alcoholism, their professional collaboration continued, which regularly through 1980. So she did actually stand by her man,
Yeah, seems so.
Yeah, they did make a reunion album entitled One. It was well received, although it didn't achieve their earlier chart success. Jones and Wynette had one daughter together, Tamala Georgette, born in 1970. Georgette Jones has, in recent years, become a successful country music artist herself, who frequently pays tribute to her mother at her shows. And in 1976, after having a public divorce from Jones the previous year, Wynette recorded Till I Can Make It On My Own, often said by music critics to be about her breakup from Jones and moving on with her life. The song reached number 1 on the US country singles charts, number 84 on the pop single charts, becoming her first single in 8 years to enter the pop charts. Often considered to be one of her signature songs, it's more or less helped Wynette's career after her divorce, showing that she could remain popular. It was recorded 2 years later as a duet by Kenny Rogers and Dottie West, whose version reached number 3 on the country singles charts in 1979. In 1976, Wynette had another number 1 as a solo artist, You and Me, which became actually her final number 1 as a solo artist. Her last number 1 came as a duet with George Jones in early 1977, titled Near You.
Yeah, well, she started to wane a little bit after 1976. In 81, there was a TV movie about her life, which was aired, called Stand By Your Man, which was based on her memoir of the same title. Actress Annette O'Toole portrayed Wynette in the film. Beginning in the early 1980s, however, her chart success began to wane again, though she did continue to have top 20 hits during the period, including Starting Over and He Was There When I Need You, both in 1980. A cover of the Everly Brothers hit Crying in the Rain 1981 and Another Chance and a few other tracks. In 1982 she recorded a track for the Ray Conniff Singers, a rendition of Delta Dawn, in order to be included in the Conniff duets album The Nashville Connection, but ultimately the track didn't enter. Meanwhile, her medical problems continued, including inflammations of her bile duct, and in 1986 she acted on the CBS TV soap opera Capital, playing beautician singer Darlene Stankowski. In 1988, she filed for bankruptcy as a result of a bad investment in 2 Florida shopping centres. And in 1987, her album Higher Ground featured a neo-traditional country sound that was both a critical and relative country success. The album featured contributions from Larry Gatlin, Vince Gill, Ricky Van Shelton, Rodney Crowell, Ricky Skaggs, Emmylou Harris, and the O'Kanes. Never heard of many of those. I've heard of Emmylou Harris.
Yes.
2 of the singles released from the album, Your Love, and Talking to Myself Again,
Yes, that's
reached
you now.
the top, yes, you know it is, isn't it? And reached the top 20 in the US country singles charts, and a third single, Beneath a Painted Sky, with Emmylou Harris, reached number 25 in 1988.
Yeah, she also designed us our own line of jewellery in the 1990s, and in 1995 she and George Jones recorded their first new duet album in 15 years entitled One, which spawned a single of the same name. As we mentioned earlier on, the singles was the duet's first music video together. Also, they also performed together, last performed together in 1997. She recorded a cover version of the Beach Boys' In My Room, which was a duet with Brian Wilson.
Very good, actually, very good.
Yeah, and that was the group's 1996 comeback album, Stars and Stripes Volume 1. The track was held back for a proposed second volume, which apparently never appeared. But Wynette's performance is included in the TV documentaries Beach Boys, Nashville Sounds. Wynette lent her vocals to the UK #1 hit Perfect Day in 1997, which was written by Lou Reed, which was quite a good song. I mean, there were so many artists singing just a single line or a single couple of words on that Perfect Day. That was,
she was married 5 times to Upal Bird, as we heard. She had 3 daughters. Don Chappell was the next husband. She had 3 daughters. Don Chappell, born Lloyd Franklin Ann Bouguet. George Jones, she married in February 1969. Michael Tomlin in 1976. For 44 days she was married to him. And singer-songwriter George Ritchie. Until her death, she was married to George Ritchie. It's a bit difficult to read that. Wynette was once linked romantically with actor Burt Reynolds, and they were good friends up until Wynette's sudden death. Ritchie was her manager throughout much of the 1980s. But as a result of numerous health ailments and operations, Wynette became dependent on painkillers in the mid-1970s. She became critically ill with a bile duct infection at the end of 1993, and just after Christmas, Wynette woke up in the middle of the night with severe pains and was rushed to the Baptist Hospital in Nashville, where she spent 5 days in a coma, and afterwards underwent an intestinal bypass after she miraculously came out of the 5-day coma. Pamela Lansden of People quoted Wynette's personal spin on life's tribulations as the sad part about happy endings, that there's the sad part about happy endings is there's nothing to write about.
Yes, in April of 1999 her body was exhumed from her crypt in an attempt to settle a dispute over how the country music legend had died. A new autopsy was conducted on her a week after 3 of her daughters filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her doctor and her husband manager George Ritchie, claiming that they were responsible for her death 12 months earlier. The coroner declared that she died of cardiac arrhythmia, and in May 1999 George Ritchie was dropped from the wrongful death lawsuit. Wynette was reinterred in the Woodland Cross Mausoleum at Woodland Memorial Park Cemetery in Nashville, Tennessee. She rests in the same Nashville, Tennessee cemetery as other country music luminaries, as former husband George Jones, who died in April 2013, Webb Pierce, Jerry Reed, Marty Robbins, Bobby Russell, etc. In March of 2012, the name on Wynette's tomb was changed from Tammy Wynette to Virginia W. Richardson, her final legal married name. And in that same year of 2014, the name of Winnette's tomb was changed from Virginia W. Richardson back to Tammy Wynette.
Yeah, bizarre.
It is rather bizarre, isn't it? Because, I mean, you know, you go along there and you say, well, who the hell's, you know, oh, that's W. Virginia Richardson. You know, no, it's not, it's Tammy Wynette, you know.
Very strange.
Really, really most and utterly confusing.
To dig her up as well, you know, to establish how she died.
Time for one more very quickly.
Yeah, we're nearly over, aren't we?
We are nearly over, but we'll see if you remember this one.
Gentle is the rain that falls softly on the meadow. Birds high up in the tree serenade the flowers with their melody. I'll see there beyond the hill the bright colors of the rainbow. Some magic from above made this day for us just to fall in love. I belong to you from this day until forever. God, love me tenderly, and I'll give to you every part of me. Oh, don't ever make me cry. Long, lonely nights without love. Be always true to me. Keep this day in your heart eternally. Shall we turn this place up on the meadow? We'll walk out in the rain, hear the birds above singing once again. You hold me in your arms and say once again you love me. And if your love is true, everything will be just as wonderful.
Toys, a Lover's Concerto.
What?
The Toys, a Lover's Concerto.
Thank you very much. You know, it's,
Thank you very much.
you have to watch my hands on the faders, you know, because otherwise you'll try and talk over the top of the toys, you know. So. Never mind, I'm Mike Barry.
I'm Bob Duffield.
And we'll be back again next Friday for another Pop and Rock Legends here on secularsounds.org.
And we'll be back tomorrow.
With the Grumpy Old Men.
Hi, this is Reese Manigan, and please join me for Reese's Friday Night In between 6 and 8 p.m. on Set Close Sounds. I'll be bringing you the best music, movie reviews and topics to start your epic weekend. You can like my Facebook page, Reese Friday Night In, and you can also follow me on Twitter @rmanigan. Then join me on Friday nights between 6 and 8 p.m. on Set Close Sounds.
Hello, I'm Jim Cleland, and every Saturday at 7 p.m. on Seco Sound Radio, you can hear non-stop dance and disco music from the 70s right up to the present day. So, if it's classic disco tunes you're after with a touch of today's best dance music, listen in to the best disco in town on Seco Sound Radio